Hey everybody, Kyle Sasser here, and this is Great Homes Tampa Bay, and time for everyone's favorite part of the month. That's right, real estate statistics time. These statistics are for Pinellas County for April 2020. Now, I know you're probably saying to yourself, Kyle, we are at the end of May here. Why are we looking at April numbers? And the reason why is because it naturally takes real estate statistics about a month to be compiled. Just real estate organizations do not compile the information until about a month after the fact. So the newest numbers we have today as of May 24th, 2020 is April 2020 numbers. So the numbers are about a month old, so keep that in mind. Now, those who watched the previous month's video, which I will put a link down to that below, you will know that with the coronavirus and COVID and all that stuff going on, we definitely have had a retraction in the number of new homes coming up for sale. We know that because I had been manually going in and retrieving that information every day out of the MLS. We usually don't know statistics until a month after the fact. So we know that the number of new homes that had been coming on the market a lot less than they were even in previous weeks and months, and especially compared to previous years. The number last month was around 30%. There was 30% fewer homes being put up for sale compared to earlier in the year in January or in 2019. Now, a lot of people have been thinking that real estate is going to crash and blah, blah, blah. I hate to break it to you, but that is not what's happening currently. And I'm going to explain. I'm going to go over the numbers and then explain why we're seeing what we're seeing. One thing to keep in mind, we're still down compared to last year or earlier in the year, but we're not down by as much. And we're actually, there's more houses being listed for sale now than there were back in April. So that's some good news, and there might be a little relief coming. So I have the numbers here. These are for Pinellas County. And just to toot my own horn a little bit, because a lot of this, especially when you try to do predictions, it's basically guesswork. And seeing the numbers this month makes me feel a little bit better because my prediction, which I very rarely do, those of you that have been watching the show here for a while know that I pretty much never give predictions at all. I think it's kind of hacky. But I thought it was important to kind of give an illustration of where the market could go last month, and these numbers are basically telling me that I was right, so that makes me feel pretty good. I'm going to go over the market trend in general, and that is basically that there are fewer numbers of homes for sale. However, the number of buyers has not dropped significantly, and as you remember from an economics class, whenever you have dropping supply and demand holding steady, prices are going to hold or increase. And that is what's happening. So you would think with all of this stuff with social distancing that we would be selling, that homes prices would be dropping, but that is not the case. Another explanation I do need to give you on these numbers so you can make sense of them is that we're actually comparing 2020 numbers versus 2019 numbers. The reason we don't compare April numbers to March numbers is during the course of a year, there's a natural ebb and flow, a high tide mark and a low tide mark as people's lives change throughout the course of the year. So obviously if we were up north, wintertime is going to be a really bad time to sell a house. So because of that, the number of homes sold over the wintertime, up north at least, drops. Here in Florida, we don't really have that. Here we follow a little bit more of the snowbird schedule and the school year schedule. So just keep in mind, we are comparing April 2020 numbers to April 2019 numbers. So the number of closed sales in Pinellas County for single-family homes went down 26.8% to 879 units sold. The median sales price went up 7.4% to $290,000. Average sales price went up 3.9% to $371,095. Median time to contract. So this is how long a home is up for sale before a contract or an offer is accepted. and that has dropped 46.9% to 17 days. So we went from 32 days, a little over a month, to just 2 weeks that houses were sitting on the market. That shows that demand is still pretty strong. But keep in mind, that's coupled with the fact that we have fewer homes available for sale. So it's a balancing act to understand these numbers and what they mean. The number of pending sales, which is the number of homes that are under contract, was down 38% to 846. The number of new listings was down 31.9% to 940. And the total number of active inventory, which is every single family home for sale in Pinellas County, was down 21.9% to 2,486 units. So with those numbers, we can see we have fewer homes available for sale. They're not staying on the market as long, and they're selling for record prices. So contrary to what most people believe, the real estate market is not currently collapsing, and it is an absolute stupendous time to sell a house or property. If you've been on the fence about selling, like, now is the time to capitalize. Because what we don't know is we don't know what's going to happen 4 or 5 months down the road when the economy does whatever the economy is going to do. Because remember, real estate takes a while to reflect the realities of the economy. So if you have an investment property or you've been thinking about moving, like, sell now. Give me a call. Contact me below, because this is a very honestly, I don't believe this window is going to be very long. So if you want to sell, you really have maybe a couple months here, so do not dilly-dally. So I do also like to break this down into price points, because things do vary a little bit by price point. Obviously, a $4 million house takes a little bit different time to sell than a $150,000 house. Just the number of buyers is significantly smaller for one than the other. But the one thing that I see across all price points is there was no price category that had more listings this year than compared to last year. So across the board, people are hesitant to list their home for sale. I'll just give you some sample numbers here. So the number of homes $100,000 to $150,000 was down 57% to 35 units. And this is in the entire county for the month. So there was only 35 houses between $100,000 and $150,000 put up for sale last month. $250,000 to $300,000, there was 162, which was a 34% reduction. $600,000 to $900,000, there was a 30% reduction to 78. So the numbers that I was seeing, that I had manually compiled and I gave everybody a heads up on last month, those numbers are finally reflected here where everybody can see them. Total inventory, which is everything that's currently active. Again, it's all down across the board. There's not one category that has had more listings in April 2020 compared to April 2019. And just some examples: $150,000 to $200,000 was down 29.4% to 218. $250,000 to $300,000 was down 29.3% to 299 units. Section between $300,000 to $600,000 didn't feel the crunch quite as much. So $300,000 to $400,000 was down 18.6% to 419 units. And $400,000 to $600,000 was down 15.5% to 453 units. Last page I always like to go over is the doom and gloom page, which is what covers foreclosures and REOs. I'm going to give you the numbers on these. I don't take them with a grain of salt, because so short sales are definitely still going on, but foreclosures, as you might remember, along with evictions, have been on hiatus for quite some time. So these numbers are influenced by outside legislative action. So we don't actually know where foreclosures are currently. But for April 2020, there was a total of 16 closed foreclosures, which was a reduction of 50%, and the number of short sales dropped from 6 to 5, which was a reduction of 16.7%. Now, one thing with these numbers, so the moratorium on foreclosures are going to be expiring here in the end of this month, the end of May, I believe those are expiring, which you would think that the May numbers or the June numbers would be clear for what the foreclosures would be. But remember, it's a legal procedure and it takes time for all that to work out. So I'm not really trusting these numbers until 2 months from now is when I think they might start to be accurate again. But I'm going to keep an eye on them and let you know what develops. So that is the market statistics, what's going on now. Definitely a little unexpected. I would have thought that buyer demand would have dropped a little bit. There was definitely 3 weeks there where my phone really didn't ring at all, which a little sobering. I'm just sitting here staring at my camera, being like, things are looking pretty ugly. But thankfully, things have popped back up here. Phone's been ringing pretty steadily. I have some new listings up, and yeah, things really seem to be moving along, which again, kind of surprising. You would have thought that both buyer and seller side would have retracted a little bit, but seller side definitely has retracted. Not as many sellers are willing to sell right now. So again, if you are thinking about selling, now is the time to sell. But while the sellers have been, pulling back a little bit, not as willing to sell, and the reasons why, if you think about them, are pretty clear. Like, we have a lot of older people that have retired here or who have lived here for years. They're a very at-risk segment of the population. And personally, I can understand, if you're at risk, why would you want strangers coming into your home constantly, looking at your house, touching your surfaces, opening your doors? It's just opening up for risk. So I can definitely understand people being hesitant to list right now. So that's the market update. If you would like a market value report for your house, please email me at kyle@sashergroup.com. I will be happy to provide you with one for free. Usually it's just a quick conversation. I ask you some questions about the house. I can prepare a professional report for you that will detail the estimated value of your property. You can also reach me via phone at 813-323-7396. That'll hit me on the old cell phone here, so you're welcome to reach me that method as well. Other than that, if you have any comments, if you think that the home prices are going to tank here in the next 6 months, please leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your opinion on things. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.